Alfablot and how I prepare for holidays. So one of my responsibilities being a goalie is to facilitate and prepare for holidays and to really just be the one to get the ball rolling on events. So as I'm filming this, the next holiday to come up is Alfablot, which is the holiday to honor the elves, the Alfar, not to be confused with Alf.
A little background. My name is Alf. I come from the planet Melmac. I'm a member of a civilization millions of years ahead of your own. And now I live in a laundry basket next to the washing machine.
It's a joke I can't believe anybody else is, not made. It's right there, Alfar.
The Alfar are the hidden folk. They are essentially the equivalent of the Celtic fairies. A lot of similarities, like they might take you into their realm, play tricks on you, stuff like that. But they are also associated with the dead. So one of the things about Alfablot is that it was traditionally done around like family graves and burial mounds, that kind of stuff. Some people even theorize that the white appearance of them was actually associated with bones. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it's an interesting theory. The New Age community sees them more as the ascended self. So I think there's you, and then there's your higher self, which would be the light elf, and then your lower self, which would be the dark elf or dwarf. And that's why you'll see depictions of dwarves being more like mechanical and base. They're associated with stones. When the sun shines on them, they turn into stone. And then with elves, they're more like regal and beautiful, and they're lighter, more wispy. If you look at Tolkien's rendition, that kind of shows the variance of the two, even though I'm not a big fan of Tolkien myself. So for Alfablot, that's what we're honoring. That's what we're giving worth to. Remember, worship means to give worth.
So the first thing I do is I announce the holiday. We have a Facebook page, Home with House of True. I'll announce it on there, create an event. And we also have a couple of group messages. This is all on Facebook. And then we will we talk about it a little bit, set a date, see when people are available, what they can bring, stuff like that. And then I get to the meat of my real work for it, which is research. I am kind of a steel trap for a lot of lore and knowledge, but that doesn't mean I know everything. So I like to research. I like to get that information fresh. You never know what information's out there that you may not be privy to. I mean, I don't know everything, right? So I'll often do a YouTube search, Google search if I'm not feeling as lazy. I like to use the YouTubes because I just listen to it while I'm at work, and I'm a pretty busy person. And then of course we also have to set up location. We don't have like a Hoth. We want to someday, but if we do, it's going to be further down the road, and it's going to be because one of us becomes pretty wealthy or ends up inheriting, a piece of property, something like that. Sometimes we'll create a list of food. It really depends on how big the event is, but we might do like potluck style. Everybody brings a little bit of something. I try to buy mead every single time. You might have to get familiar with the places in the area that sell mead. Sometimes you won't have any places. I find places like Beverages and More will have a few. You'll find some meads in the wine section. There's one that's technically not a mead that I really like, Berenjäger. It's basically alcoholic honey. Of course, drink responsibly, etc., etc., etc. Disclaimer. Of course, one of the reasons we use mead is the association with life. Honey itself is very much associated with immortality, life. I personally think there's an association with Iduna, and that's why I have actually used honey in order to color her for my rendition of her and my Redbubble and Teespring. Like, they've actually found in Egyptian tombs raw honey that is still good, and it's like thousands of years old. The stuff basically is immortal and thus represents immortality. So that's one of the reasons we use mead. Actually, mead in the Viking Age was more for like the upper class. So something like beer can also be historically accurate. And it's actually not that hard to make mead. Something we'll do for Freyfaxi is we actually brew a thing of mead, and by solstice, it's usually good. It's actually a tradition we started last year. We're doing it again this year, so that's how you start a tradition. Then, of course, you have to be aware, are there any special events going on? Are we giving anybody talks? Any announcements? I like to try to talk to people. I have a thing for the elders of the group, you know, the Jarl, Steersman, a few of the other people that have been around a little longer, that have a little bit more clout. We're kind of the driving engine behind the kindred. So keeping those things in mind, preparing for those. And then the holiday itself. So this year for us, Alfablot is actually going to be on the 22nd. Technically it's the 23rd, which is the equinox, but the 22nd is a Sunday, and I figured that'll work a little bit better for people. You know, we'll all gather at a certain time. Obviously it's on the Facebook event page, and then we get together. Usually we all show up, we kind of hang out for a little while, chit chat, a few stragglers will come in, and then I kind of feel it out for when I do the bloat. I don't like to wait too long. More often than I would like, the bloat, you know, the passing of the horn, is actually a little later than I would like. I don't like to let people get too intoxicated prior. Not that I'm gonna like slap the drink out of their hand, but that's the reason for doing it earlier rather than later, because I've had like a solstice where we had like 20 people in the bloat circle and few individuals were drunk, and it just took forever, and I saw bored faces, and that's not what I want in the bloat. The bloat should be happy. It should be a time to share. It should be a time to, you know, we're giving worth to that symbolic well for the tree of Yggdrasil. That's one of the reasons I do it earlier rather than later, or try to anyway. And it should always be relaxed. You know, it should never be like strict. It should never be like by the numbers. Because people are there to have fun, to relax a little bit. A holiday should be an escape from your regular rigmarole of life. You know, we're there to commune. We're there to assemble. We're there to make merry and just enjoy ourselves and build the community. That social interaction, obviously, is one of the things that really builds that community, that kinship, that kith. And then, of course, like any event, there's a cleanup. It's always good to stick around for the cleanup, show that you're another helping hand. That shows your kin that obviously you care and you want to put forth effort, and, you know, many hands make light work. Plus, that just shows that you're somebody they can rely upon. You're somebody that, rather than leaving and not having to clean up the mess, you're the person that sticks around, helps out. And obviously not everybody can do that. Everybody's got other responsibilities. You know, work with people case by case basis, but don't hold it against them is what I'm saying. And then the very last thing we do is on the messenger, we have everybody, once they get home, mark themselves as safe, right? So in that big group messenger we have on the Facebooks, we'll just go home safe, you know, once they get home. Yeah, that's a quick breakdown how I prepare for holidays, which is one of my obviously responsibilities as Gothi. Do you have any questions, comments, bitches, gripes, moans, complaints? Feel free to comment in the comments down below. I will put a link to my Worship Blot and Sumble video down below. I give a description of how to do the actual ritual itself and some of the symbolism behind it, which I talked about. Of course, you know, links to my Patreon, Subscribestar, Teespring, Redbubble, all down there. I really hate having to try to sell myself, but that's what's gonna keep this channel active and allow me to keep doing this. Allow me to focus on this a little bit more and try to dedicate myself more to facilitating this conversation and trying to create that dialogue. I also recently created a group on the Facebooks called Fellowship of Forn Sithr. I'll put a link to that also down there. I am trying to create a network of heathens. I do not want to create an organization, but rather just heathen networking. And eventually I'll have kind of a Gothi training program of some sort. I'm still looking into the legalities of how to do that exactly. With, of course, no intention of dictating how you do it, but rather facilitating a positive mental way of looking at how to go about creating a healthy kindred and all that other stuff, which I'm planning on doing a video later on with more depth on that. Of course, in a lot of my previous videos, there's elements of that. So if you follow me, I'm sure you understand. Skull!